So I have a very weird passion for negotiating car leases. Probably love negotiating in general, but I especially love negotiating car leases. I've negotiated my car lease multiple times, my husband's friends. I have shared this method with a lot of people, so I'm going to share it here with you. So I don't think I have to tell you, but leasing, buying cars is an extremely annoying process. Going to the dealer takes hours, and it's back and forth, and it's annoying, and it's a lot of kind of like unknown, like we just hope that we can get a good deal, but we're really not sure. So this is a method that gives you a lot more control, a lot less time spent at the dealer, and you don't have to deal with those annoying salespeople. So here it is. So if you are the kind of person who wants to order a custom-made yellow seatbelt crazy rib car, then this is not the process for you. It probably won't work. This process works for luxury vehicles. In fact, that's pretty much the only type of car that I've used it for. However, it's just really difficult to negotiate a car that's scarce and that there aren't a lot of options for. So I have a couple of steps, and I'm going to tell you the best way to do it. And it starts with step one. So identify which car you want, the make, model, the color. This is an important part because if you don't know what kind of car you want, then how are you going to negotiate it? This is all about negotiating the exact car that you want. So do your research, look online, go to the dealer if you have to, but if you do go to the dealership, I recommend that right when you get there, when you walk in, make sure it's clear that you are not making any decisions today, you are not making a purchase, you are not going to lease anything, that you're just looking, because if you're not clear about that, they will harass you and follow you around, which is extremely annoying. So once you're there, just look in, you can look in the cars, you can even ask them to take you on a test drive. They're probably not going to be thrilled, but make it seem like you're interested, ask for their card, but just be very short with them. Just make sure that they're clear, that you're not going to go sit down at their desk, you're not going to give them your phone number, your email address. Do not do that. So step two is going to be determining your target price. What I typically do is I use a resource called leasehacker.com. It's spelled a little differently, so I'll link it so that you know exactly where to go. There's a ton of information on the site. They have everything from calculators to forums to blogs, and I usually go straight to the blog. There's a blog post that has a large thread titled Latest Deals, and so that helps me get a ballpark of what people in my state have gotten for a specific car. So make sure when you're looking there, you're taking into consideration that you're looking at the right state, because different taxes apply. So just make sure you're getting real numbers from your state. So the next thing is incentives. There are numerous amounts of incentives for different types of associations and veterans and doctors, lawyers, etc. So just make sure you do your research and make sure you're getting the incentive that you are entitled to, if you are entitled to one. So step three is identifying your actual options. It's super important to negotiate a specific VIN number. So I start with 3 to 5 dealerships in my general vicinity. I usually just go into Google, I type in Mercedes-Benz around me, and I start with dealership number 1. So I go to their website, and I go to the new inventory section, and that is a live inventory of everything that they have. It's not up to date to the minute, but it's pretty current. So I look for the vehicle, the make and the model that I like, and if there's one aspect of the car that's a deal breaker, whether it's the color or the rims or the engine, whatever it is, I sort by that. And then I'm kind of flexible with the other things. Look, if you want to get a deal, you have to be flexible, but you can still get what you want, don't get me wrong. So I usually identify 1 to 3 vehicles that match my criteria. I kind of ask myself, would I want to drive this car? Would I really want to lease this car? Is this the car that I'm going to be happy with for 3 years or however long the lease you're going to negotiate for? So I usually choose 1 to 3 vehicles. So the way that I choose them is I click on the link on the website and I identify the VIN number. And so I usually have a little spreadsheet where I identify the 1 to 3 VIN numbers that I choose, and then I put it aside, and then I'll tell you in the next step how to use them in an email. But a really cool thing that not every dealer does, but some dealers they actually will lease out former loaner cars. So meaning the courtesy car that they give for service, they'll actually lease them out, so they're used. So typically you can't lease a used car, but you can actually lease. I know Mercedes does it, I'm not sure. I think some other luxury, maybe I think BMW also. But on their website, you at times certain dealers list it. You can see the loaner cars that are available. So look at those. I would look at them first. If you can find the car that you like under that section, then you should definitely negotiate that one. You can probably get the best deal. They have typically 1,000 to 5,000 miles on them, and you can get really great deals for them. So the next step is locating your point of contact. So you want to go into the website of the dealership where you got the VIN number from. Make sure that you don't get that mixed up, because each dealership has their own inventory. So when you go to the website, go to, every website is different, but typically it's in a section on the top under About Us. It can be under there, it can be under Meet the Team. Typically it's under Meet the Team, so click Meet the Team. And then make sure that you find an email address for the highest person in command. So I typically go for the manager. I look for their email address, and I see if there's maybe an internet sales manager, or I look for like the 2 highest people in command. So I note down their email address and then move on to the next step. The next step is starting the negotiation. So a super important detail that I want to reiterate is that I never ever go in person to a dealership. I also never speak to anybody on the phone until I sign the lease. And I know it sounds crazy, but that is the trick. If you give them a little bit, they're going to take a lot, and they're going to call you, email you, harass you. And what I have found is that they give you numbers that aren't even real. So they're wasting your time, and that frustrates the shit out of me. So I really, really, really recommend that you set up a new email address just for this. So I only negotiate via email. So I set up an email address that doesn't have my full name, so they don't know my last name. I create an email that, when you sign up for a Gmail account, when it says what's your name, I don't put in my full name. I just put in my first name maybe and a couple numbers, and I make it kind of anonymous, because if you have your phone number in the signature section, they're going to call you, and it's not just them, the receptionist, you are going to be on that list forever, and it's highly irritating. So this is my email template that I use, and I'm going to share it with you in the notes here, but just to go over what I say. The subject is really aggressive and to the point. It just says, ready to sign your lease today. So if you aren't ready to sign the lease today, ask yourself when you're ready, because if it's next week, then I would still say that you're ready to sign today, because the process does take, give or take, a week or 2 weeks, or maybe even 3 weeks, depending on how willing the dealership is to negotiate with you, or just give or take about 3 weeks. So if you are willing to sign a lease in the next 3 weeks, then I would definitely make the subject that you're willing to sign the lease today, because that gets their attention. So in the body, I say, hi, so-and-so, I'm looking to lease the vehicle, and here's the VIN number. So I can give them 1 VIN number, 2 or 3, and the below criteria. So you have to determine how long the lease you want the lease to be. 36 is typical, 12,000 miles a year is typical, but sometimes if you are willing to lower the mileage or increase the monthly, increase the lease term, the lease length, then you can get better deal. So I always negotiate 0 down. I am not a fan of putting money down for a lease. I don't think you need to. I've never needed to, and I don't think that you need to. So I always negotiate 0 down. I am willing to pay the first month and the transfer fees, but 0 down. So I don't want them coming back to me and saying 5,000, not even 1,000, nothing. I don't want to pay $500 down, nothing down. So I list my terms. I say 0 down. I'm willing to pay the first month and the transfer fees, and then I list my target. So I don't list my target. When I determine a target number, a target number that I want to pay each month, I knock about $75 off of that when I negotiate, because I know that there's going to be room. They're going to come back with something. It's very rare that they're going to say yes right away. So always give yourself some padding room, so that you're not so tight, and expect that they'll come back. You'll go back and forth a couple of times. So I also, when I negotiate, when I give that target rate, I always say tax in. That is a big deal, because a lot of these dealers will say, okay, it'll be $200 a month, and then once they calculate the taxes, it actually comes out to like $250 a month, and that's a big difference. So make sure that you're negotiating tax and always. So this is the part where you get to be kind of sassy, and you get to just say whatever you want and see what happens. So when I do this, I always say that I need the car to be delivered to me, and that has happened numerous times. In fact, one time it happened, they delivered the car, and upon delivery they asked me who I knew at the dealership, and I said nobody, and they said, this has never happened before. I've never ever seen a car delivered. So if you don't ask, you don't get. So I definitely recommend asking. And I also ask for service packages to be included. Not all dealers will do it, but I definitely ask for it. And also window tinting. It's a strange thing, but dealerships will tint your windows. So I would ask for everything and see what they come back with. You never know. So the next important part of the email is to say what your current status is. So in this template that I use, I guess the last car that I negotiated, I was in a current lease. So if you're in a lease and the lease is about to mature, that's another leasing lingo. When it's about to end, you say mature. It just sounds fancier. So when your lease is about to end, if it matures in a few weeks, they know that you're actually ready. That makes it real for them. So if that is the case, I would definitely let them know. And I also kind of give them a heads up, and I say I'm not interested in negotiating in person or on the phone. I've done my homework. I know that I can get the price I listed, even if I'm not really sure. I still say it like I am sure. I'm firm on the above criteria, and I'm only interested in discussing real numbers. I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste mine. So I say, just to be transparent, I've sent similar emails to other competing dealerships in the area, and I will sign the lease with whoever comes back with the best price. So I'm totally honest, and I think that may be why I've gotten the response that I've gotten, because I'm just like, no bullshit. This is it. I don't want to talk to you on the phone. Don't ask me for my phone number. Just let's go. Get the deal done. And I also say, if you have tier 1 credit, or if you have good credit, I would let them know I have tier 1 credit. I'm willing to sign the lease today. I would love to give you the business, and I look forward to hearing back from you. And that's the template I use. You feel free to tweak it, but that has been the one that's gotten me the best results. So after you send the emails, and I would send the emails to multiple dealers altogether. Don't be concerned, don't be worried, like I sent it to one dealer, what if they say yes? It doesn't matter. You're not bound to anything until you sign a lease. So you can put a bunch of fishing rods, fishing lines in the water and see which one bites, and don't be shy. I mean, if you feel like you're in a rush, or if you want to kind of get the deal done sooner, then send it to more dealers. And the more people you send it to, the likelier it is that you'll get a deal done. So the next step is follow up. In my email, sometimes I put sort of like a fake deadline of when I'll be pulling the trigger. It creates a sense of urgency. So sometimes I'll say, I need to make a decision by next week because my lease is up. That would be a good example. Or I've been looking and I need a car by this date, and that is the date that I need a car by. So that creates a sense of urgency. And so for the follow-up, I always make sure to follow up right before, like 2 days before, and then if they don't answer, the next day. And the follow-up is really important, because a lot of times these dealerships will kind of, likely, it's more likely than not that they'll respond to you, but the more follow-up you do, the more serious they'll take you, and that's your goal, is to let them know that you're really, really serious. So I also let them know in that follow-up email that I'm working with other dealers, just to make them a little uncomfortable. I'm working with other dealers. Sometimes I'll even say, hey, dealer, this dealer in Coral Gables gave me this price. If they gave me the price of $210. If you can give it to me for $200 tax in, then I'll go with you right now. Send me the papers. And that has actually worked a couple of times for me. So that is my method. I recommend that you do your research, find a car that you like, and just make sure that you are not going for a car that if there's one car on that lot, don't even waste your time. Don't bother sending emails, because they're not going to give you a deal on that one car. They're dying to get rid of it, but there's only one left, so they want to sell it for the most value. So I would go for if you're not too set on the actual model, I would go for a car that they have a lot of on the lot, and that's your best bet. And also, if right now they've released the 2021 models. So if you like a 2020 model, then you have an even better chance of getting a good deal on it. That's actually what I did with my car recently. I got last year's model and I got an insane deal on it. So that is it. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I am happy to respond. Good luck.